Hello guys, Relavant here and welcome to Duels and Deck Profiles, a segment of my channel where I talk about decks coming out later on in the game, currently in the game that's getting more support, or just a really good deck right now. And in today's Duels and Deck Profiles, I'm going to be showing you the new branded Despia deck that has been showing up here and there in some tournament reports, been doing pretty well, but hasn't really been at the top of the meta yet. And basically, Konami has released one card in the OCG that is going to make this deck the top of the meta. So today we're going to be looking at the new branded Despia deck purely because Konami have released one card for this deck, which is branded Fusion, a Shadow Fusion that is literally a one card Dragoon and a one card Winder, literally all in one card. You can make either one Dragoon or one Winder, turn one guaranteed, and basically which is going to put this deck on the map. Like literally this card is going to make this deck meta. I really do not see this deck being not meta with this card's introduction, and Konami just showing that making a structure deck and making one busted card really does break a deck in general. So guys, we're going to be looking at this deck, we're going to be showing you what the deck is about, we're going to be showing you what the cards are, I'm going to give you my understanding and my reasons for the ratios in this deck list, and then we're also going to show you guys some duels to show you what the deck is capable as well. So let's go ahead and begin on this deck profile so you guys can see what the deck is and what the ratios are. So starting off, we obviously play free Albaz. This is literally just I normal summon, I special summon, I search branded fusion. Like literally this card is really strong, being able to just search branded fusion, being able to search any other branded spell in the deck, be it the branded in red to fusion summon during the battle phase or your opponent's turn, be it the field spell to just go ahead and have a fusion spell every turn, or be it branded opening to go ahead and special summon, I don't know, the Despian Dramaturge here or the Despia Tragedy here. Like it basically says you can search any of these cards very easily and just give you a lot more consistency in the deck, especially seeing as you search branded fusion, which is just an insane card. Next we play 2 Tragedy. This card is pretty much in the deck for the pure reason that this card is when it's sent to graveyard by card effect or when this card is banished, you get to go ahead and add any Despia monster from your deck to your hand. So my whole reasoning behind playing this card is, well, you can either discard it off branded opening, you can either banish it with gold sarcophagus here, or you can send it to the graveyard with foolish burial to be able to go ahead and search your Albaz, which will just allow you to go ahead and search the branded fusion or any other branded spell. Pretty much it's just there for more consistency, and if you do open it in your opening hand, you can just use it for fusion materials, just so you can go ahead and fuse it off, then search the Albaz, and then just go into whatever you want from there. Like literally, this card is pretty good. It also has an additional effect in grave, which is nice too, where you can banish it from the graveyard and then just set a branded spell or trap that's in your graveyard, so it will allow you to recycle your branded fusion as well, which is also really good there too. So just a really strong card in the deck that I think is really necessary at 2. You could play out 1, but I feel like if you did put it in your opening hand, the foolish burial and the gold sarcophagus would be a brick. Plus also if you do open it in your opening hand, you can just use it as fusion material. So there's reasons to why you want one in the deck, and there are reasons to why you want one in the hand. So it's just like the card's really strong, but you only really want to see 1 in your opening hand, and you really want to always have 1 in the deck to send off those 2 cards, just have more consistency. Next we play 1 Dramaturge. This card is actually pretty insane because it says whenever a fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster is special summoned, you can negate 1 face-up monster on the field. And also when this card is used for fusion material, you just get to go ahead and special summon this card from either the banish or the graveyard. So this card is pretty much just a free fusion material that special summons itself back, which is why you play 1 of it, because you're always going to be returning it to the board. It's going to be a negate at times as well, which is really nice. So you play 1 of it, which is really strong. Now the next card is 2 Albaz. Like literally you have to play at least 2 of this card because you require it for the branded fusion. Yes, it can technically be a brick at times, but the reason why this card isn't always a break is because, well, it's basically super polymerization. So you normal summon it, you use your opponent's monster fusion summon, and then you do stuff from there. So even though you don't really want to open the card, you want to send it to the graveyard with branded fusion, the card is actually really strong and really good, just for the fact that, yeah, I'm very strong in the fact that I'm a fusion monster whenever I want. So look at my opponent's monster, super polymerization them, and get rid of their monster, and then just kill them through there. So card's pretty strong, card's very nice. You want to play 2 of it as well. You always want to have 1 in the deck. You don't want to always have 1 in your opening hand. It's like one of those cards like Silkatus where you sometimes want to see it, but you don't always want to see it. So you want it in the main deck at all times for the branded fusion spells and stuff like that. Next, 1 Ecclesia the Virtuous. This card is literally here because it says, oh, I can tribute myself to summon Albaz during my opponent's turn to fusion summon, or you can go ahead and use this card's graveyard effect that says, if a fusion monster was sent to the graveyard this turn, turn. During the end phase, you add it to your hand. So literally, the good thing about this card is, and something that I've realized you can loop in this deck, is if you can make Dragoon and also destroy Phoenix Enforcer, which you can see is in this deck, then you can discard the Ecclesia for the Dragoon effect, pop the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer and opponent's card, and then just add the Ecclesia back to hand, which literally just means, oh, I have an infinite negate Dragoon, I always have that discard, I always have that way to stop my opponent from playing the game. So I play one of this for that reason. The card is very, very good because of that, and I really like the card in the deck. It does have a lot of potential, it does do a lot of things in the deck, so I always enjoy having it in the deck. It's a very, very strong card. Next, we play Maximus. Pretty much this is here because we play Nadir's Servant, and this card is actually very good because it's technically an every turn pop. So pretty much what the idea behind this card is that you get this card on the board by searching it with Nadir's Servant after you've already set up your board, and then what you just do is you just keep sending Unts and Omega to the graveyard to either get a pop every turn or just to have guarantee your Omega recycling something, such as something important potentially, be it a Dragoons, which you can actually make twice in one game thanks to using the new Lubellion, which we'll get into later. Or you can go ahead and recycle any of these other fusion monsters that could be really potential and really useful for you in a turn. So we play the Maximus for that pretty much. It guarantees that the Omega gets to graveyard, it guarantees the recyclability, and it can be an every turn pop, which is really, really nice. Next we play one Shadow Beast, pretty much because it's with the branded fusion spell, it's a one card window. There's not really any reason why you shouldn't play Shadow Beast. It's a draw, it gives you that discard you need for the Lubellion's effect. It's basically just a really strong card that says, okay, I send myself to graveyard via effect of the branded fusion spell, I get a draw, I get to fusion it away back into the deck as well, and then go ahead and make a window. Pretty much there for that. One Celestial and one Dasher. These are really just in the deck to make Destroy Phoenix Force. I don't really think I need to explain why they're there, so yeah. One, the Light Hex Seal Fusion. This is here for, well, really two reasons. One, it's a light target, so it's the light target you're going to be using to make the Albion the Branded Dragon, and two, it can replace its name for Dark Magician, so it's what you're going to be using to make Red Eyes Dragoons, and that's just... it's insane how you can literally just look at this card and think, oh, this card back in the day was really, really bad, but now this card says, oh yeah, I just go Branded Fusion, I send Albaz and this to grave, I make the Albion, I banish Albaz and this, and then make Dragoon. It's literally there for that. You could replace this card with Dark Magician as well if you really wanted to get that pop effect on Dragoon, but I like this card because, well, it's a light monster. It means I can just banish the materials and not have more bricks in my deck, and it means I don't have to discard a card with the Lubellion, so... yeah, card is very, very nice. Next, we play 3 Ash Blossom. I wanted some hand traps in here, so we play 3 hand traps. 3 Branded Fusion. This card is the best card in the deck. We're currently running, what, 11 ways to get to it? So we want to play as many ways as possible to actually get to this card, because this card is absolutely insane. So we play 3 of it. 3 Nadir's Servant. This card is literally here because it says you can go ahead and add the Maximus. It says you can make Winder for your opponent's turn. Literally just go ahead and send the App Clone to the graveyard, add the Schism here. Then you go ahead and discard the Schism, summon the Maximus, and then you just go ahead and set a Construct and maybe an Omega to the graveyard to go ahead and add back the Schism, which will allow you to just go ahead and make Winder during your opponent's turn. Card is very, very strong. And then we also play 3 Branded Opening. This is obviously more consistency to get to the Branded Fusion by discarding a card to summon Luba from the deck to then go ahead and add the Branded Fusion. We also play 1 Despia, Theater of the Branded. This is literally just a fusion spell. Like, honestly, it's an every turn fusion gate, which is really, really nice. And also, it does say if a non-fusion fairy monster is destroyed, you get to go ahead and special summon a fusion monster from your graveyard. So if you do ever have a Luba on the board and your opponent kills it, you just go ahead and summon back, I don't know, any of these fusion monsters in your graveyard that you could have made and just have a free recycle there. So if your opponent killed that Dragoon, you can get that Dragoon back too. 1 Branded in red. This card is pretty much just there because it can be a quick play fusion spell and also slash recyclability to allow you to make other plays, which I really like because, like, this card is, it's not the best card in the deck now because we've got the Branded Fusion, but the fact that this card literally says you can just go ahead and add a Despia monster, be it the Luba, or add the Albaz from the graveyard to your hand and then just go ahead and fusion summon is really, really decent and can be a quick play fusion spell at times, which just wins you the game and helps you OTK. So Branded in red is a really strong card. You could also bump this up to 2, but I just like it at 1. Next, we obviously play the 3 Fusion Destiny. It makes Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. It's there for that. 3 Forbidden Droplets. This is pretty much just, oh yeah, my opponent's made an Omni Negate. My opponent's made some negates that I don't want to deal with. Yeah, I just make the droplets and I beat over my opponent's board after that. Like, literally, this card, you're normally sending 2 cards to the graveyard to negate 2 things. You resolve your Branded Fusion, and then you just go nuts from there. Like, seriously, this card is absolutely insane. And if you can play this in the deck, you play this in the deck. 1 Gold Sock and 1 Foolish Burial. I already went over these. These are here to go ahead and banish the Tragedy, to go ahead and get the Aluba, whatever. 3 infinite permanents, just more hand traps, and then 1 Shadow Schism, which will allow you to make the window, which is just really, really good. Extra deck, we play 1 Dingirsu. Now, obviously, you're not always going to make this. This could be literally cut for anything, but I like it in the deck because at times where you can just go ahead and overlay 2 monsters to then go ahead and send any card to the graveyard, have protection for all of your stuff. It's not a bad thing. Plus, like, there are times where you can make it where you haven't used the branded fusion, you make this card, and then you have protection from everything. So it's just like, yeah, really, really good. Like, there's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. 1 Omega, went over this. This is for the recyclability effect. Unce to go ahead and pop. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, we play the free Fusion Destiny, we play the Celestial, we play the Dasher. It's an every turn pop. It's very, very strong. Winder, I don't want my opponent special summoning. The App Clone is obviously there to help me go ahead and get to the Winder. The Construct is also kind of there to get me to the Winder, but you can actually summon this at times to go ahead and then just look at your opponent, summon the Construct, and just send a light monster to grave. So that can come up at times, which is really, really nice. Dragoons, it's Dragoons, like Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Any deck that can make both, you make both in, because it's absolutely insane to have both Red Eyes Dragoons and also Destroy Phoenix Enforcer on the board. Like, that is nuts. 1 Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. This card is actually really, really cool, because if you make this with any of the other monsters, you just look at your opponent and be like, yeah, whenever you want to activate an effect, you're gonna have to pay 600 life points for that, which is actually really, really cool. And one of the things that I like to do sometimes in this deck, because I just like seeing my opponent's life points slowly whittle down while I have a big Omni Negate on the board, or Destroy Phoenix on board, or Winder on board, which is just really, really nice. And also, if it's in the graveyard and your opponent controls a Fusion, Synchro, Ritual, Xyz, or Link monster, you can just go ahead and special summon this from the graveyard. It won't have that pay 600 effect anymore, but it'll be pretty decent just to, you know, kill your opponent with, like, or go into Dingirsu with it. Like, you can do that too. We also play 1 Despia Quorites, I think that's how you pronounce the name, and this is pretty much here because it's an OTK fodder. Like, literally, this card has the effect where you can make all monsters on the board lose all their attack unless they are level 8 or higher fusion monsters. So literally, you just look at your opponent's board. If they don't have any fusion monsters that are level 8 or higher, you make them all 0 and you just OTK them and kill them. Like, that's literally what this card is here for. It's very decent. It does also have an additional effect where if it's destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you can add a Albaz or Despia monster from your deck to your hand or special summon it. But I like this just because it's OTK fodder. Like, it's literally there just to OTK your opponent. Next, we play 2 Albion. Like, this card is necessary in the deck. This is the card that you're always going to be making off your branded fusion, and the reason why you're always making this off the branded fusion is because, well, you go ahead and send the Light Helix and an Albaz to graveyard, you summon this, and then on fusion summon, this card allows you to summon a level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing materials from your field, hand, or graveyard. So pretty much, you go ahead, branded fusion, summon this, you send the Light Helix and the Albaz to the graveyard, then you just go ahead and banish the Albaz and the Light Helix, and then you just go ahead and summon the Dragoon and just look at your opponent and be like, yes, I have a Dragoon now. I did this with 1 card. Let's have fun. And you play 2 of it because you can use this effect multiple times per games. You also have the ability to go also send this card to the graveyard to go ahead and during the end phase set a branded spell or trap or add a branded spell or trap directly from your deck to your hand. So it does have that kind of utility as well, which is nice. But you play it pretty much because it's a double fusion. You make 2 fusion monsters of 1 card, which is really, really nice. 1 Titaniclad, this is literally here as an Albaz target. You can also send it to the graveyard to add Albaz from your deck to your hand, or Maximus from your deck to your hand, or even special summon them. But it's literally there to be like, oh, my opponent has a monster with 2500 or more attack, then I'm gonna normal Albaz, discard a card, make Ash Dragon, and just, you know, do things. Like, that's pretty much why it's there. And then we also have Lubellion the Searing Dragon. This card is literally here for the turn 1 Winder. Pretty much what this card does is the same as Albion, but it says on fusion summon you can discard 1 card and fusion summon 1 level 8 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck, and you shuffle materials from your graveyard or field or banish zone into the deck to fusion summon. So what you would do is you would send the Albaz, obviously, you would send the Beast, you would discard a card and also trigger the Beast to draw 1, and then you just go ahead and shuffle both the Beast and the Albaz into the deck, and then you just go ahead and summon Winder, so you can have a turn 1 Winder. Now, this is obviously if you think your opponent is playing a special summon heavy deck, but this is just another way to do it, and you can also utilize this to go ahead and make other fusion monsters. Say if you put the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer back into your extra deck because it wasn't able to come back, you can go ahead and shuffle the Celestial and the Dasher back into the deck to make another Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, and then you could also make it again later on if you have another Fusion Destiny. Like, this is just multiple uses that I like about this card, that because you make a lot of big boss monsters that can do a lot of different things. which is really, really nice. So this is just literally a parallel world fusion in a sense, which is just really, really nice. Then the last monster we're actually playing is Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, which is the one you're not really able to make off the branded fusion very often, but you can make it, and when you do make it, it's to get rid of a problem on the board. And what this card essentially does is, well, one, if it's destroyed at the end phase, you just destroy all monsters your opponent controls. But what we're using this for is because once per turn, except the turn after it was used, you can go ahead and send one Albaz fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard to go ahead and banish one card on the field. So literally what this card says is, oh, you can send the Ash Dragon to the graveyard, so you then get a search during the end phase and then also banish a card on the board. You could send the Albion to the graveyard to get that branded fusion from your deck to have another fusion summon, and then go ahead and banish one card on the board. You see what I'm saying? This card is a removal card slash also an advantage card, which is really, really good. But yeah, that is literally the entire deck. Like, honestly, this deck is really, really cool, really, really good, and honestly, if you're going to be playing branded in the year 2022, this is a list that I would strongly consider. There are some changes that can be made to it. For instance, like if you wanted to play Dark Magician, if you wanted to play something else, if you wanted to like change the ratios, maybe, I don't know, play free Tragedy, play more ways to search, play another field spell, play more branded in red, maybe not play the Dragoon package, put more hand traps in. There are tons of stuff that you could do with this deck. But this is just my list and I really, really like it. But now that we've talked about this, let's go ahead and move on to the duels now to show you guys what the deck is actually capable of and the boards that it can actually make. Okay guys, so the first game I have here for you is obviously against the branded Despia versus a Sky Striker deck. So we're going to go ahead and play this, see what happens. So first of all, we start with Foolish Burial, sending the Tragedy to the graveyard to add the Aluba from the deck to the hand. We're then going to go ahead and normal summon the Aluba. Use the Aluba effect will allow us to add the branded fusion from our deck to our hand. Very, very strong card. And then we're going to activate the field spell that we opened. We opened a one-off. Okay, we're going to use the field spell fusing the Light Helix with a Dramaturge that we opened up, and then we go into our lovely Masquerade here, which will make our opponent spend so many life points to try and do things. We then go ahead and use the Dramaturge, which will allow us to special summon it to the board. I summoned it in defense mode for some reason. We then use the branded fusion spell. We go ahead and have our opponent pay 600 life points to Ash our branded fusion. Kind of annoying, but we'll see what we can do from here. We go ahead and set one and pass turn. Okay, so we didn't really set up anything big outside of the 600 burn, but we'll see what our opponent can do. So they go ahead and use the Fusion Destiny, very popular card now in the game because of, obviously, the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer is very, very strong. And he drops Droplets too. Okay, our opponent has Droplets and he has Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, but he opened Dasher as well, so he did brick a bit. We use the Dramaturge effect, targeting the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, negating its effects. He goes ahead and enters the battle phase, attacks the Masquerade, and sets one. Attempts to pop, can't do it because obviously the Dramaturge negated it, and he passed his turn. Okay, our turn, we draw for turn. What we got, we're going to start with a Fusion Summon using Aluba, and the Dramaturge probably, but we go ahead and summon the Masquerade and Droplets. Okay, so we chain Droplets, summon out the Masquerade Dragon, and then we Fusion Summon. So we use the Albaz that we draw for turn, and we go ahead and make the new Mirror Jade Ice Blade Dragon. Very strong card here, and we'll be able to deal with that pesky Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. We go ahead and banish the Tragedy to go ahead and set our branded fusion. And then what do? We send the Albaz and the Ecclesia to the graveyard to summon the Albion. Use the Albion effect to banish the Helix and the Albaz that we opened, and we go ahead and summon Dragoons. Okay, we enter the battle phase. We use the Ice Jade to banish the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, and then our opponent has Widow Anchor. That's very annoying, but he doesn't have enough spells engraved to take it. He does not, so he is unable to actually take the Ice Jade Dragon, meaning pretty much he is a dead man. So game one went to us, where we actually stopped turn one, but then we're able to do some more stuff in turn two. So as you can tell, this deck can do stuff outside of turn one too. Like, that's what I'm trying to say about this deck, because it can actually do any other things. But let's go on to the next game. So guys, the next game here is actually against Frightfur. And this was a very interesting game, and I wanted to play this one for a specific reason. So we obviously go first again, he ashes us, and then we're going to go ahead and activate our Fusion Destiny. Fusion Destiny sends obviously the 2 to graveyard, we make the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, and then we use Nadir's Servant. So we pretty much opened the absolute nuts where we had the Albaz to get the Branded Fusion, the Fusion Destiny allowing us to get the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, and then also the Nadir's Servant, which would allow us to get the Winder. But we'll continue on from here. We go ahead and use the App Clone. App Clone obviously adds the Beast to hand. Okay, why did I add that? Not sure. Add the Beast to hand to draw 1 card. We set 2 and we pass. So, opponent's turn comes around. What are they going to do? They go ahead and activate Super Polymerization, sending to graveyard an Edge Imp's Chains and summons a Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. We go ahead and activate Shadow Schism. Okay, well, after the chain to his, well, chain, and we summon Window, which will go ahead and send the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon to the graveyard. He goes ahead and adds a Frightful Patchwork from his deck to his hand, which will allow him to add Polymerization and also another Edge and Chain from his deck to his hand. He sets 1 and passes. Now, we can't attack with the Window, sadly, so we'll see what we can do. We go ahead and normal summon another Albaz, which we drew for turn, luckily, and we have a Despia Fusion spell now as well. So we activate the field spell, we go ahead and use it, and we're going to fusion the Window and the Albaz into the Masquerade Dragon, and then we activate another Branded Fusion that we had in hand to go ahead and make the lovely Albion Dragon here, which will allow us to make, the Lubellion Dragon, which will allow us to go ahead and fusion from our graveyard to go ahead and make the Ice Jade Dragon. Okay, so we have Ice Jade, Lubellion, and all of this. We're going to draw 2 cards as well, but our opponent Super Polymerizations us, sending an Edge of Chain to the graveyard, summoning, I can't remember what this is. This is the Trapion. This is the one that takes 3 dark monsters, and we activate the Ice Jade Dragon, which will Raigeki his board at the end of turn. We go ahead and send 1 card to graveyard. We use the Masquerade Dragon. Okay, special summon that. We use Droplets, sending the Fusion Destiny to the graveyard, and we enter the battle phase dealing 1,000 points of damage. We pass turn, use the Albion, which will allow us to add the Branded Fusion from our deck to our hand, and we continue on. So our opponent turns come around. He summons a Lone Fire Blossom. Okay, summons a Predaplant, or Scorpio. Okay, goes ahead and summons the... This is like the Cobra. This is the engine that just allows you to add a fusion spell from your deck to your hand. So he's going to go ahead and add another Super Polymerization. Use Edge Imp Chains and Super Poly once again. I repeat, 3 Super Polys, guys. And he makes another Tripion to go ahead and just fusion away 3 Dark Monsters again. Like, goddamn, guys. But because of that, we go ahead and use the Albaz Engrave to go ahead and negate that card's effects. He attacks that, and he passes turn. Our turn comes around, we draw for turn, we activate the Branded Fusion that we added to hand at the end of the last turn, and then we go ahead and send 2, make the Albion Dragon. Albion Dragon's effect goes ahead and banishes 2. We then make the Titaniclad, which gains a ton of attack points. We go into the battle phase, attack over that, and then attack with the Albion. Opponent's turn comes around, and what do they have in hand? Probably nothing, and then we win the game from there. Literally just doing anything, go into the battle phase, attack for game. Now, that game was a great example of what can happen when you get Super Poly'd 3 times, because this deck has amazing recovery. Because honestly, with Albion saying that you can go ahead and, search a branded spell card, meaning you can just get the Branded Fusion to go ahead and do it all over again. You can go ahead and get any branded spell necessary. You've got the Albaz that will recycle itself. You've got so many different things in the deck that has so many different recoverability that even if you do get Super Poly'd 3 times, the deck can still play very well. But guys, that is just one more replay. Let's go on to the final replay where you'll see the last game. Alright guys, so this final game here was actually a weird one because this was against a really weird invoked list that I kind of thought was cool to play against. So let's go ahead and play it. So we go ahead and go the Albion. Albion summons Dragoon, and then we use the Fusion Destiny, sending the Driver and the Celestial, and then we use Nadir's Servant. Now, obviously, I'm showing you this specific replay because it goes ahead and shows you everything the deck is capable of on turn 1. It's able to make Winder, Dragoon, destroy Phoenix Enforcer, turn 1 at times, which I think is absolutely insane, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to show you this deck. But let's continue on, going on to our opponent's turn and see what they actually do. So they start off with Paw of Prosperity, banishing 6 cards from their extra deck to go ahead and excavate 6. So he goes ahead and shows off a Kaiju, he goes ahead and shows off Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, he goes ahead and shows off Alistair, and he adds Alistair to hand. What is he going to do from here? He goes ahead and Lightning Storms, destroy all attack position monsters on the board. Can't destroy the Dragoon, so it's fine. We go ahead and use the DPE, and he uses Book of Eclipse to set the Dragoon. He normal summons the Alistair. We ash the Alistair, but he goes ahead and calls by the Graves the Alistair as well, preventing us from negating the Alistair. He goes ahead and ends the invocation, goes ahead and fusion summons using the DPE and the Alistair to go ahead and get rid of the DPE so it doesn't come back, and goes ahead and makes invoked Augustes, which will go ahead and destroy one special summon monster. So he goes ahead and destroys the Red Eyes Dragoon. We go ahead and make Construct to send that to the graveyard, and then use Construct to send Beast to the graveyard to draw one card. He uses Invocation, add the Alistair back to hand, and then Kaiju slumbers, summoning 2 Kaijus to the board. Enters the battle phase, attacks the Gardala he gave me, and then during the end phase we get to go ahead and add the Brandon Fusion so we can continue on playing. Our standby phase, we're forced to summon the Destiny Hero, so we summon the Dasher, because we want the Celestial to stay in graveyard so we can still get their draw 2 this turn, potentially. And we activate Gold Sarcophagus, which will banish the Tragedy and allow us to add Aluba from our deck to our hand. Normal summon the Aluba, get the Theater to hand so we can go ahead and have that really nice fusion spell. Using the Dasher and the Aluba, make the Masquerade, use the Brandon Fusion, summon Albion. Albion goes ahead and banishes 2, we summon the Lubellion. Lubellion's effect then goes off, and we summon the Ice Jade because this card says we can get rid of the Kaiju. Then we go ahead and send the Titans to the graveyard, and our opponent surrenders because that is 8k exactly, meaning that even though our opponent made Alistair, they popped the Dragoon, they outed the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, they literally wiped my entire board, they were able to do all of this, but still, we OTK'd them and played through that board. But guys, that is literally what I wanted to show you in these duels, that this deck, it can play through any board break. It can play through any board on the board. Like literally, this deck is absolutely insane because this deck is the best boss monster deck released in a very, very long time. And thanks to Konami giving us the structure deck, thanks to Konami giving us the Despia cards, thanks to Konami giving us so many ways to search Branded Fusion, and also having cards like Fusion Destiny with Destroy Phoenix Enforcer and Shadow Schism with the Winder, and also having the Servant that just gets us the Maximus. This deck is absolutely insane, and I really wanted to showcase it in this video today, guys. But guys, I hope you really did enjoy the video. I hope you did enjoy seeing these duels. I hope you did enjoy the deck. I hope you got some ideas for maybe your own Despian branded deck, seeing as this deck is absolutely insane and really, really powerful. And guys, I hope you just really did enjoy. But that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more good videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Rollback1, signing out. Later all.